What's going on, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Jake and Joe Show presented by First Star Logistics, where on this show, when the Bengals win, we get to talk about it. It's awesome. You also win. We're going to be giving away 6 of those jerseys that you can see on the sidebar there in this episode. 3 of those you had a chance to win if you joined the giveaway on Twitter. Make sure you're following at First Star Logistics, at First Star Log to follow First Star Logistics on Twitter. We'll also be giving away 3 for those of you who stick with us to the end of the post-game show here on YouTube. You use hashtag First Star Logistics in the chat. You only need to enter that once. Multiple entries in the chat do not give you multiple entries to win, and you'll have a chance to win one of those jerseys. Make sure you're living in the United States for a chance to win there. And make sure you're following at Jake Lisco, at Joe Goodberry on Twitter as well, so you don't miss a chance for any of those giveaways. And Joe, as the Bengals keep their December football relevant, they didn't necessarily get a ton of help from around the NFL, some of the help they needed from other teams, but we are guaranteed that next week's game against Denver will be a meaningful one. That being said, what's your big takeaway from this game against the Cleveland Browns?
Big takeaway is, they stay alive, right? That's number one. They didn't fumble it. They didn't, well, not literally fumbled the game away completely. They almost did halfway through. But the idea here is that even if they stay alive and don't make it, or fumble one of these games and don't win out, we are still in evaluation mode, right? And a lot of the young guys and a lot of guys that you need the answers on, you need to know if they're part of the 2025 and beyond formula for this team, played really well. I mean, Chris Jenkins with 2 sacks, McKinley Jackson with another sack, Cedric Johnson almost had one. I even thought Miles Murphy, he hasn't gotten his sack yet, but he pushed the pocket more than a few times. Joseph Osai had a sack. We don't know if he'll be part of the future or not, but he is still a young guy. Jordan Battle, Geno Stone, both getting interceptions and getting their hands on the ball again. Cam Taylor Britt got his hand on the ball, didn't catch it this time. So a lot of young guys, especially on the defensive side, continue to make plays at the end of the season. We'll have to wait that. How much is that worth going forward? But I can't knock guys for making plays, especially when guys that I thought were run stuffers start to make a little, progress as pass rushers, as Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson are. Those are good things no matter what.
Yeah, we saw some players on this defensive side of the ball step up. We saw them continue to show that they are a litmus test for whether or not opposing quarterbacks are NFL level quarterbacks. And for the 7th time this season, I guess, they faced a quarterback who isn't an NFL caliber quarterback. And this was the best results oriented kind of performance for this defense all year, between the sacks that they rack up. PFF recording them with 5 sacks. I don't know what the official number was. I feel like it was not 5. I thought it was 4, but maybe it was 5. Was it 5? It was 5 sacks for 32 yards on DTR. They get the 2 interceptions. And the interceptions, in some cases, caused by pressure. And in one case in particular, a really nice blitz that we'll look at that Lou Anarumo dialed up. And we'll talk about that one a little bit. But the defense continuing its dead cat bounce, right? They continue to show up late in the season against these bad quarterbacks, these bad offenses, and get the kind of results that you would hope they would get all year. And they've done this now against the Dallas Cowboys, against the Tennessee Titans, and against the Cleveland Browns, to differing levels in each of those games, right? And this one back at home, perhaps a little bit of an advantage there for the defense, where they're able to get more pressure than they have really all year. And I don't know how much of it is clean wins and how much of it is DTR just holding the ball forever. Because you're talking about McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins contributing with sacks, and Cedric Johnson getting that intentional grounding penalty, which is effectively as good as a sack, just doesn't go on the stat sheet. Von Bell with the awesome play, only has 7 snaps in this game, forces a fumble on one of those 7 snaps.
And recovered it, right? He was the one?
I don't recall.
I think he did recover it. So that was old Von Bell. That was old Bengals 2021, 2022 type defense. So,
and a crucially important play early in the game.
Right. And that's how they used to do it.
And they do that twice in the red zone, where they get the right thing, the right big play at the right time in the red zone that keeps this game a 24-6 final score, instead of potentially a game where we're biting our nails at the end because the Browns have 2 potential touchdowns that are instead takeaways for this Bengals defense. I was talking a little bit, though, about those sack numbers for the young players, the young defensive tackles on this team. I wouldn't categorize any of them as necessarily clean, dominant kind of wins for those guys. But despite that, you take the sacks, right? Like two of them, I think, are quality sacks. Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson. I think
Each
one of Jenkins and McKinley Jackson's sacks. Those were quality sacks. Chris Jenkins kind of has a cleanup sack where DTR is trying to get out of the pocket, and it's a good play from Jenkins. Don't get me wrong; I'm not trying to take away from him, but these aren't like Geno Atkins kind of sacks.
No,
You know what I mean? Like they're not beating a guard and getting upfield and just blowing plays up. They're taking advantage, playing complementary football with the back end of the defense and getting the sacks when their opportunities are there for those to exist. But despite that, I hate to do this every week, but like despite how good the defense was in this game, it's still to me the same defense.
of course.
It's just that the Browns are the Browns.
Yeah, I don't disagree on any of that. That's the part that people have to understand on this. We use the dead cat bounce almost tongue in cheek, but it is a real thing that's happening. How much of this do we want to buy? That is going to be the hard part, but we need to see some of it. Is it better for them to do nothing? These young guys get these chances and do nothing? Of course not. We need to see some of this to at least know they are NFL level or role players at the very minimum. Because if you took the first 12 games of the year, you'd say, man, a lot of these guys, I don't know how much they can contribute to a good defense. If the defense is actually good, how much will these guys be playing? So you need to see every team across the league is going to play these bad offenses and these bad quarterbacks. Sometimes it's in the beginning of the year and you're not playing Jaden Daniels and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, right? Instead, it would be nice to play Will Levis and Dorian Thompson-Robinson to start the year and start your defense on the right foot, but it didn't happen for the Bengals. That's not the way the schedule turned out. Week 1 should have been one, so I don't want to go too far with that point. That should have been one of those games. But seeing them make plays is not a bad thing, and that extends to the offensive side. It continues to be the same players on the offense, so that's why we didn't start the show with it. It was T and Jamar and Chase Brown, who's firmly in that grouping of this is a guy we can rely on. Another 100-plus yard day, all-purpose yards. So like these guys on offense will do that. They had a lull, and we'll probably spend at least a moment talking about it. There was a stretch in the third quarter. They couldn't get anything done, and the offensive line was dealing with injuries, as they have for most of the year now at left tackle and right tackle when Mims went down. And it really made things hard on Burrow. But I also thought Burrow held the ball a little bit too much in some of these. I'm eager to watch the film. I like to watch those sacks and say, okay, what was happening? What was the play call? What was happening down the field? And I felt like the Browns started to rush a little bit differently. Like, let's close those middle lanes and not allow Burrow to step up, which is a key thing to watch for, because if Burrow keeps making guys miss the way he does, they're going to rush him a little bit differently. The defenses are going to pay more attention to that. Watch how they rush Lamar Jackson. Watch how they rush Josh Allen. You want to know why those offensive lines are so good? I mean, they're good, but they're not that good. It's because they're deathly afraid to rush those guys. And if Burrow keeps making plays off script, these defenses are going to get a little bit more passive in their pass rush.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it, Joe.
Me too. I'm hopeful
I'm gonna be
there.
real with you.
Yeah,
because he made plays outside of structure in this game, and then he started taking sacks. Like the protection was good early. He was able to evade pressure the few occasions that got to him early. Then Amarius Mims went out of the game. Then maybe the way the Browns were pass rushing changed. But what the Browns did really well was take away those B gap escape lanes. And there were a couple of the sacks that Burrow took in this game were him trying to step up and trying to escape as he has often this year. And then those escape lanes weren't there in this game. Part of that could be that there are two backup tackles playing, right? When this is happening, you have Devin Cochran, who's dealing with an ankle injury of his own after he comes in for Amarius Mims, the left tackle. Amarius Mims exits the game with his own left ankle injury. A lot of ankle injuries in this game for the Bengals. T. Higgins ends up finishing the game playing through one as well. Obviously, still no Orlando Brown at left tackle where Cody Ford was out there. And I thought early on they had a really nice plan and we're getting some strong success against Myles Garrett. The protection looked really good early in this game, and the offense was looking good early in this game, obviously getting out to a 17-0 lead at halftime. That could have been 20-0 if they don't miss a 47-yard field goal or if they choose to go for it in that spot, which is probably something we should talk about as well from a macro perspective, where perhaps there's some contentious decisions from Zach Taylor in this game as far as when he chose to run the ball late in the game or that decision on the fourth down where he kicks a 47-yard field goal. So some other topics there that we can get to, Joe. A lot of topics, obviously, here to get to. I also want to talk about Joe Burrow's game overall, where he goes and sets the record for most consecutive games with 250 yards and 3 touchdowns on that offsides touchdown to Jamar Chase late. They also have a beautiful deep ball to Andre Yosevach and Denzel Ward's coverage. And I remember complaining about them taking that shot of Yosevach on Denzel Ward multiple times. And the first time these teams met, this time they take it again. And they make good on it. Beautiful play from those guys there. But despite all the positives, there are a lot of positives for Joe Burrow in this game. This wasn't his best game. This was maybe his worst game in the last 6-7 weeks. And despite that, I'm not saying he had a bad game. I'm just saying it wasn't his best game. And when he has not his best game, that's still good for 23 for 30 for 252 and 3 touchdowns. That's still pretty damn good. And we're still talking about him making a couple of miracle plays under pressure, evading guys and getting positive plays. T. Higgins touchdown, Drew Sample dump off when he's taking hits or going to the ground. And so despite all the reservations I have about this game compared to Joe Burrow's standard, he's still a really damn good player. He's still an awesome quarterback. And that's what we're talking about when we're saying he wasn't at quite where his standard has been in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I think he would agree with you. He's probably doing his press conference right now, and I'm sure he's like, I shouldn't have had that turnover. I shouldn't have had that fumble. I got to be smarter than that. I mean, that's a rookie level play we have seen other bad quarterbacks make, where it's just like, you're just doing too much, man. The play's not there. Take the sack or throw it away. That's fine. But that's not in Burrow's DNA. It's why we like Joe Burrow. It's what it's kept them in so many plays throughout this year. You're going to live with the good and the bad. If we took all of the off-script Burrow plays and started stacking them up, negative and positive, I bet really quickly we're going to get the positive up here, negatives down here. So that happens. Is it a mistake? Is it something that he's probably going to think about? Yes, of course it is. That's the way he expects perfection. He talked about it all week this week. But that is the trade-off for the high-end big plays. So I'm not going to kill him for that. But I would like to spend a moment on the Zach Taylor decision earlier to kick that field goal. I felt like the offense at that point was doing whatever they wanted. They got a third down. Burrow goes off script, just misses T, right? One of the rare misses he had this season off script. I feel like he's been money on that. And instead, he misses them. But I still felt like at that point, you could call whatever you want. And I feel pretty good that you're going to convert or Burrow's going to make something happen and convert. So like at that point in the game, you got a chance to really control it, go up 14-0. Instead, they go for the field goal. And I haven't felt great about Cade Yorkshire. He's made some field goals. I feel like all of his stuff is hooking left the exact same way it was for Evan McPherson, and I didn't feel comfortable with him. He did end up redeeming himself with a 59-yarder to end the half, but that's like the exact situation I want to kick in. Is it a game-winning situation I have to kick? Is time running out in a half of a game that you need to kick? Is it a 4th and 15, but a chip shot still within like a 35-yard field goal, let's say? Then kick it. That's fine. If Burrow would have taken a sack instead of fumbling at the goal line there, you want to send Cade York out for that makes perfect sense to me. Otherwise, I don't want to see Cade York out there. Keep the pedal down and keep going for it. You're at the end of the season. You're 6-8 at that point. Now 7-8. I'd still like to finish this way. Stay aggressive, Zach. Let's win with Burrow and the weapons.
Yeah, and there was an opportunity there that he didn't take. I think that 4th down is one that doesn't end up coming back to bite them in this game, but against a competent offense does it. Instead, you give up that great field position and don't have anything to show for it, and you took the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands in that situation. Don't love that. The other big criticism of Zach in this game, and there are several other topics I want to make sure we get to. Jordan Battle being one of them. Don't think we've talked about Jordan Battle's game very much yet, so we got to circle back to Jordan Battle. There are a few plays that we'll look at as well, but the other big decision that I saw come under fire for Zach Taylor in the second half of this game, Joe, was the decision-making about running the football. And that was before, I think, the final drive of the game. And I took a look at it at that point in time on neutral plays. I had, through the first 3 drives of the second half, the Bengals on neutral downs, running the ball twice, passing the ball 4 times on neutral plays. When they were behind the sticks, they ran the ball once on a 2nd and 7, or maybe it was a 2nd and 10. Either way, it was a 3-yard gain. And they passed the ball 3 times when they were behind the sticks through those 3 drives. So where there was a lot of energy from what I saw on social media is Joe asking for Zach Taylor to just run the ball, including that 3rd down where people were upset that they went play action there and just wanted them to run the ball again. That was what I observed. They were running the ball a little bit on early downs. The overall split in this game of early downs were first and second downs were 18 running plays to 26 pass plays on first and second down, whereas on third and fourth down there was only one. I don't know if they went for it on a fourth down in this game actually, but on third downs anyway, one running play, 10 passing plays for the Bengals. So the early downs were relatively even. I mean, that's about as balanced as you would expect this Bengals offense to be.
Yeah, when you lay it out like that, I have no problem with it, actually. I want the ball in Burrow's hands on third downs. And if you're splitting a 4-2 ratio, right? 2 passes for every 1 run on early and neutral downs, I'm fine with that. The big thing I have is, and I bet we could go all year and tally this up, how many times this year in neutral situations, or let's say when the game's still within reach for the other team, have the Bengals run it in back-to-back plays? I feel like you get it maybe twice a game. And it's almost like them, and that might be a lot, right? When you feel like maybe one time. Yeah. It feels like when they really want to establish it, we need to get back to running the ball. They run it twice, and then it's passing 5 straight times after that. And they had that on that drive where they ended up going down before Burrow fumbled. It started with 2 straight runs. It almost ended with 2 straight runs before the play action until Burrow fumbled. And I was thinking, maybe that's where I'm feeling the missing of the run game being committed to, because I feel like if you get 1 run, even if it's 5 yards on first down, the defense, I feel like, starts pinning their ears back. Like, you're never going to run it twice in a row. You don't do that. So, like, we're teeing off on this. Next thing you know, it's a sack and it's 3rd and 10 again. And I'm like, maybe you should stay ahead of it and stick with it if it's working. Chase Brown, if he's averaging 5.5 a carry at that point when I was thinking of this, because I looked it up, I don't know what he ended up with. But at that point I'm thinking, can we get a couple runs in a row here? Can we get the defense to at least worry about it more than just a first down run every 3rd play or so, every 3rd first down?
Ends up at 5.1 yards per play. And I agree with you there, Joe. There are opportunities to continue to run the ball on consecutive plays that the team doesn't really take very often. I think they did it after you tweeted that. They did it before the Jamar Chase touchdown. Is that? Or before the Yosavash catch? Whatever it was. There were 2 straight runs and then a deep play. Yeah, it was a Yosavash catch. And Chase Brown, again, is producing at a high level, is firmly, I think, like you said earlier in the show, and I agree with you, has firmly established himself at this point. And I've thought this for a few weeks now, but continues to put up good games. 91 rushing yards, 3 catches for 18 yards, a couple of pretty impressive plays as a receiver in this game, connections with Joe Burrow, 1 great catch near the sideline. So he goes for a total of, doing math in my head, 109 total yards, leading the offense overall. Jamar Chase at 104 with that late 32-yard touchdown, getting him over 100 total yards. He had a 7-yard carry early in the game as well. Let's see. Is there anything else on the offense? Really like the first drive. It's my last thought on the offense, I think. I like some tendency breaking things they did. They went to the jet sweep for Jamar Chase. Instead of doing it out of shotgun, they did it from under center in this game, which I thought was a wrinkle. They got 7 yards there. That's a nice productive play. They hit on a couple of awesome runs for Chase Brown for explosive plays on the first drive of the game. They're loving that on offense. They also had, as one of those explosive plays, the jet motion with Jamar Chase, where they've been doing that touch pass a lot for Jamar. And that leads to a 22-yarder for Chase Brown, I think, early in the game as well. So a lot of really nice things on that first drive of the game. And, of course, that crazy touchdown pass, which I assume I have a video of. Do I not have a video of it?
Oh, we had one. We didn't talk about that. I mean, of all the off-script opportunities today, that was one of his best.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that play now, because of course we are. And we like to look at some of the cool plays in the game. And there's a lot of discussion on this play about whether Joe Burrow was down. And I think, said immediately, like,
you were the first one
guy. Yeah,
you were the first one to say it, no doubt.
I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but I watched this play several times, and he trips on. Who is that? Is that Karras?
I can't tell who that is. I agree with you.
We'll watch it in slow motion, but he doesn't actually get touched by a defender. And I think John Sheeran had another view of this we can look at.
Yeah, he's got the replay where it shows how he's angling, and I mean, that's Superman, right? We've seen Mahomes do that to the right, and then seeing Burrow do that to the left, I think is a little bit more impressive. It's impressive.
Yeah, like trips over Karras' leg there, and just like to throw it to your receiver's numbers. He's not down. So people in
Right.
chat are
Doesn't
asking as
matter
well.
if he was down or not.
It
He could
doesn't
roll
actually
on the
matter if he's
ground,
down.
get up,
Yeah.
and throw the ball.
Yeah. He's not touched by a defender, so
Yep.
he's all good there. Awesome play, though.
How high does that ball go that T just threw up? Yoshi's looking straight into the air.
Yeah, like 30 yards, 40 yards.
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
bet. Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I have the other angle.
And
I
if
do have
not,
the other angle. Here we go.
okay.
Go ahead. Well, we want to look at this. So here,
We do want to see.
Oh no, this is a different play. This is the other.
This is crazy. Yeah,
this is the other one. So these are the two off-script plays for Joe Burrow. You got a hands to the face there from the Browns defensive lineman smacking Ted Karras, and you got Joe Burrow just getting twirled around and dumping off.
Can you pause it here, or in that situation when he's about to throw it? Because I talk about this with when we're evaluating quarterbacks, which we haven't had to do in a long time now in the draft process. And we talk about the ability to disconnect your lower half and upper half, and sometimes they're disconnected to a negative effect where the quarterback's feet are never set when they're trying to throw the ball in the pocket. But once you get out of the pocket, you very often have to disconnect your lower half and upper half as you're getting tackled, as the pocket's muddy, you can't stand exactly where you want to. That is a great example. He's twisted completely around and still is able to flip this thing with accuracy, almost seeing Drew Sample his peripherals and just gets it out there. Dart throws it to him.
Really, really good play there from Burrow. One of two awesome plays outside of structure in this game. I think the other few topics that I wanted to make sure we got to, Joe, were on Jordan Battle. We've talked about some of the big picture Zach Taylor questions, and I want to look at that blitz that led to one of the interceptions in this game, the Jordan Battle interception in this game. But let's talk about Jordan Battle's game. He got off to a terrible start. Boy,
that first
play of the game, and I think I have that one, so we can take a look at it. First play of the game for the Bengals defense, we get bad tackling, we get bad angles, we get a bunch of guys losing their matchups against blocks. So we'll just run this at a slow speed here. And Jordan Battle is going to be coming from the top of the screen in the middle here near the hash marks, trying to fit this. And first thing is, Chris Jenkins gets absolutely torqued inside. You get this puller coming around. He's going to get to the linebacker. Linebacker's in the same gap.
Dives inside, right. He's done that a bunch. If you wonder how ADG has played, instead of Logan Wilson, he has dove into the wrong gap, I think, at least once every game.
And here we get Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt gets off his block. Right? Good job there. Not getting taken out by the block. Jermaine Pratt trying to work over the top here, and not even close. Just gets an arm out there. The guy runs straight through it. And then meanwhile, you got Jordan Battle. Watch the angle from Jordan Battle. And so you get guys getting beat, guys getting walled off. Okay.
He's
Mike
making
Hilton
sure DTR doesn't have the ball first. Because the quarterback can run. If you watch it where his eyes are here, DTR is running this way, but he doesn't have to, right? You've got Hendrickson for that. It takes him way too long to realize who has the ball here.
You're talking about Jordan Battle here.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So Jordan Battle here, a little bit of hesitation, maybe realizes where the ball is, and then he's just out of position. And then he's not quite fast enough to just make that tackle for 10 yards instead of 66 yards.
And it's not like Ford's a fast running back. He's got decent speed, but.
Well, nobody in this Bengals secondary at the moment outside of Cam Taylor-Britt has particularly good straight line speed. So
that's why you caught him.
Yeah, and Cam Taylor-Britt, as you point out, does catch him there, but that's not so good for Jordan Battle, right? And outside of that,
he was really good.
He was really good in this game.
He was really damn good.
So just getting that out of the way, let's talk about all the good things that Jordan Battle did.
Yeah, he tackled really well. I thought he was really physical, as he is. That's what he's known for, right? When he hits pretty solidly, and he's a very good tackler. I think coming downhill, he is a very effective defender. It's just there's at times in coverage, I feel like, and on the back half where he's running in quicksand a little bit. And here's an example where he is the back defender and he gets an interception.
Yeah,
I assumed you were pulling that up.
we can go to that one next here. It was not only the interception, though. I mean, that's a play that you need Jordan Battle to make in that situation. Obviously, he also fights with Jermaine Pratt over what should have been the Bengals' third interception of the game, and they didn't just I got it. They didn't figure out who had right away on that ball, and so the Bengals don't get that takeaway.
Yeah.
At that point in the game, it's not a huge deal. But PFF has Jordan Battle charted for what it's worth at 6 targets in this game, giving up 2 catches for 4 yards. He had the interception. They have him charted with 4 defensive stops as well, which I believe would be tackles that are considered not a success for the offense. And since there are a bunch of people who weren't here at the beginning of the show, just before we pulled this play up, because we're getting to the end of the show already, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
A reminder that if you want a chance to win one of those 3 awesome jerseys that we're giving away this week, you can see them there on the screen. It's hashtag First Star Logistics, as you see on the screen right now, for a chance to win. You only have to enter that once. Make sure you are living in the United States for a chance to win. But yeah, let's take a look at this play from Jordan Battle. This is a good schemed up blitz. This is a young quarterback on the other side of the ball. You're trying to speed him up. You're trying to get him to make bad decisions. And Lou Anarumo has been awesome throughout his Bengals tenure. Not as much this year. We haven't had a ton of good things to say about Lou this year, but throughout his Bengals tenure, at finding the right blitz at the right time to get bad decisions from quarterbacks. And it's risky. It's risky to do this kind of thing. But here they're showing that this linebacker and this safety, and
Hendrickson standing up inside.
Yeah, and you still have 5 defensive linemen across the front here. I guess Jermaine Pratt kind of in an edge stance, but he's going to be on Njoku. But you have 7 guys.
That's part of the trick, though, is because you have Battle directly over Njoku. You would automatically assume most times that Pratt is blitzing here,
right? And they're showing this blitz, and the Browns, meanwhile, have to figure out how to block. There's up to 7 rushers, maybe even Mike Hilton. Who knows? Probably not from this alignment.
You'd be setting. He had a great game.
Yes, he had another awesome game. He's on a late season heater, but the Browns have to account for 7 guys with their 6, assuming that neither of these tight ends stay, or I don't know if this is even a tight end, but assuming neither of those guys stay in. And as we see this play out, the Bengals just get a free rusher, and Jerome Ford is probably just wrong here. Goes to the wrong gap, and with a free rusher, Geno still makes good, disrupts this pass, it floats, and that's about as easy as it gets for Jordan Battle.
Yeah, I think DTR probably thought, because he's got to be thinking that Pratt's coming. So even Pratt takes a step up, watch him, and then drops out. So he's got to be thinking, I've got a one-on-one shot. I can throw this up, maybe a jump ball. They've done that a ton this year in the low red zone, where they'll let Njoku just go up and make a play on it. And it's inside, so it's not a good throw there. But because you've got an underneath guy and an over top guy, Battle's he can chill on this, and he can keep his eyes on up forward. And he's not panicking. It's not one-on-one. He sees the ball go up and he makes the play here.
Yeah, it makes it really hard for there to be a good place for DTR to put that ball, even if he tries to put it on a line and lead Njoku outside. There's a good chance that Pratt can get there, unless it's like a really, really good throw. And
he's not that guy.
Yeah, he's just not that guy. So I think that's it. Jordan Battle, really nice game. Mentioned Mike Hilton, really nice game. Very effective as a blitzer, officially with just, I think, 1 sack. Did they even give him a sack officially?
Hendrickson?
Hilton.
No, Hilton's both were considered runs.
Interesting. Yeah. I would have to watch them again, see what the offensive line was doing. I thought at least one of them was a sack. I mean, they're as good as sacks, immediately blowing plays up for major losses on the day. So some really nice blitzes from Mike Hilton on the day. Yeah. Trey Hendrickson going against Jermaine Ifedi had 6 pressures according to PFF. And
going against Ifedi and a running back and tight end many times.
Yeah, he was getting chipped all day and beating it fairly regularly. I thought he could have done more, to be honest, given the matchup that he had, but he was getting a lot of attention. The way Myles Garrett got a lot of attention, but Myles Garrett ended up with just 2 pressures on the day. A lot of wins that didn't result in pressures, judging from
the
PFF score. And yes, quarterback play for sure. Last thing that we could address here, Joe, is what's going on with Amarius Mims. He had a left ankle injury. We got into it with some coaches on the sideline. Don't know what that was about. Zach Taylor downplayed it in his presser after the game. Said that's football. You got to work through those things. Yeah. But the most important thing is he going to be okay next week? Because the offensive line, boy, is it thin, and boy, is it worse if they're down to 2 backup tackles and 2 backup level guards.
Tackle 4 and
And
5, would we say?
yeah, you would say tackle 4 and 5. And the guards are shaky at best this year. And Denver's got a good pass rush coming to town.
Oh, yeah. They've got a good defense. I mean, the
Yeah.
defense is very good. So, yeah, and I would also agree that that's not uncommon from stories I've heard of players not, should I go in? Can I go in? And sometimes they don't always feel the pressure to go in. It's, hey, can you go in? Are you ready to go in? Or a coach may say, all right, he's going back in. And the player will be like, I'm not going back in. I hurt my, so there's some confusion there that can lead to arguments in a very serious situation when we're talking about players' health.
And we don't know which direction it was,
Right, we don't
whether it
know.
was Mims advocating to go back in and they're like, let's wait until the second half. And he tried to go back out there in the second half, labored through one drive, clearly dealing with the ankle injury, and then left the game, didn't get back in after that. But they're going to need him for any kind of protection on offense. It certainly is worse without him out there. Tanner McLaughlin, 3 snaps.
Oh.
According to PFF charting. Probably the kneel downs? No.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what number he is. 84?
84.
Okay.
One of them was a passing play. Isaiah Williams also got onto the field for one passing play. Khalil Herbert, the trade deadline acquisition, 2 snaps. Continues to not get onto the field at all.
All right. Ready for those jersey giveaways?
Let's get those jerseys given away, Joe.
All right, sounds good. First, we've got the 3 from Twitter. If you want to scroll through those for me, not as fast as we practiced. First one is from Michael, and a bunch of numbers. Michael, if you see your name on there, plus you'll find out on Twitter. Next one, Dan Skill, I want to say, kind of like school, but not OG Skill. Congratulations to you. You're the second winner. So we got Michael, Dan, and Heath Honecker. Houday Heath. Congratulations to you 3.
With that nice believe Ted Lasso Houday.
That is the situation.
Banner back there. Yeah, are we believing? The Bengals still need some help. Did we talk about that? The Titans lost, or the Titans?
You started with it.
Yeah, we're unable to get the miracle victory at the end there, giving up some third down conversions to keep themselves from having a chance. And the Colts will need to lose to the Jaguars or Giants, even if the Bengals win out. Right. So that's tough.
At the very least, though, like you started with, this is a playoff game for the Bengals next week, right? Yeah. However you want to cut it up, they have to win against another playoff team, or else that's it, and that's fun.
Yeah. So we'll see if they can win. You know who's going to win? 3 people going to win some jerseys here on our giveaway to finish up the show. If you entered that hashtag First Star Logistics, you have a chance to win one of 3 jerseys we're giving away here at the end of the show. The first winner in the YouTube chat is Tyler Thurston. Congratulations to Tyler. Let's get to our next winner. We're going to go through 3 of these. Rooting for all of you there in the chat. Those of you that have hung out.
Saw Willie Anderson.
Yeah, Fred Taylor. There's another football name for you. The former Jaguars running back. Apparently now a Bengals fan wins one of those jerseys. Congratulations to Fred Taylor, not that Fred Taylor. And our last jersey winner, I hope it's Willie Anderson. Tim Static, Squidward. Congratulations to Tim the Squid Static for your win. That's 6 jerseys we gave away this week. Next week, if you're still here, well, that means that you deserve to know that we're giving away 2 awesome Bengals-themed Xboxes, or will be one of those we're giving away on Twitter. Make sure you're following at First Star Log, at First Star Logistics there on Twitter for those details. Make sure you're back here next week to find out if you win, and you'll have a chance, of course, to win in the show as well. Meaningful football in December we'll be talking about next week here on the Jake and Joe Show, presented by First Star Logistics. Obviously can't say enough good things about the platform that First Star Logistics gives Joe and I to talk about these games. Really appreciate the opportunity they afford us and the awesome stuff they have to give away to you, the Bengals fans out there in the community. And that's going to do it for this week's Jake and Joe postgame show. Until next time, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.